you eventually came back to the Philippines after studying abroad, and it was martial law by the time you came here, right? And please tell us about what happened at the Engineering Equipment Incorporated. I mean, I think this was what
No, before
opened.
that.
Okay,
No,
before that.
my baptism of fire.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's La Tondena.
Okay.
In fact, I met a woman now in Miriam College who said, Sister, we first met in La Tondena.
What happened there?
Strike. Well, at that time kasi during the martial law period, strikes are prohibited kasi gulo
Martial
daw.
law.
Anyway, pero yung La Tondena, because the conditions of work was very bad, so they decided, about 600 workers, they declared a strike. And I got a phone call at 11 o'clock that night na mga sisters are going there kasi they're so afraid na dadating ang mga military, baka huhulihin yung mga workers.
Strikers.
It was about 11 o'clock, and as I wrote in the book, my superior was asleep already, di ba? But I couldn't go out without permission. That's a part of being a nun. So I wrote her a letter. Dear Sister Catherine, I'm going to do La Tondena strike. I don't know when I'm coming back. Love, Mary John. And I put it at her door, and I went with the sisters and priests and seminarists, and we went to the La Tondena. And there, some of us went inside and made kapit bisig with the workers. I remember I was with 3 other sisters in front of the La Tondena. And there inside, first of all, para dumating yung mga sundalo at mga 12 o'clock, and sabi na, lumabas na kayo kasi pag di kayo lalabas, may mangyayari. And they actually went in and really, beat up the workers.
You saw this?
Yeah, and the sisters were just, kapit bisig with them. The sisters, they did not beat up. But how do you feel as a sister kung in between you, nuns, in between you are, what do you call that, workers are being beaten up. Nakita mo na, duguan, ikaw hindi ka. And ako naman, nung nasa labas ng gano'n, sabi ko, bakit yung po sila hinuhuli? Sabi ko doon sa pulis, sabi niya, kasi curfew. Sabi ko, curfew, nasa loob sila, kami nasa labas, pero hindi kami nihuli. Sabi na, hindi kayo kasali. Tapos then they came out na talagang duguan sila, my goodness, and they were really pushed into these buses without even sitting down, no? And then a priest and 3 other sisters went to gusto nila sumama, sarado. So the bus was running, and the 3 nuns and the priest were hanging on until Barbers. I remember he was the chief of police there. Talagang he went with his car and pulled out the nuns. And yeah, and for me at that point, I said, oh my goodness, what will Christ want me to do here? Don't tell me he will say, turn the other cheek pag pinukpok ka, yung isa naman. I said, no, I think at this point he would want us to help the workers.
And in fact, I think at this point, you went through a spiritual crisis. I mean,
yeah. After
what was
that?
that?
No, my spiritual crisis went after. Ang dami na namin naging what they call parliamentarians of the street later on. Noon hindi namin ginagamit. But we were all in the strikes and then we were all in the marches. They at that time yung ang nila sa pang disperse
yung host, fire.
Host. Na hindi lang yung lalagyan pa ng pintura. I don't know. Basta dye siguro. Pa yung aming mga habit naka-pink kami. So kita lang galing sa rally ganyan. So after that, nagkaroon kami ng crisis in the sense that, ano ba to? Ano bang nangyayari sa atin? Anong ginagawa natin? No? What is this all? Is this all? Is this a part of being a Christian? So we had a retreat. Na wala kami retreat master. We just, each one of us, said, how did you get into this thing? How did you get into this struggle? And each one of us, it took us 3 days. We're about 3 days. And each one of us told our own story. And what was so remarkable is each one of us had this sense of being innerly liberated. And then our conclusion there was, if Christ had an option for the poor, and we are the followers of Christ, we should have also an option for the poor. And if these poor are victims of injustice and oppression, then we have to be with them. That is what is the meaning of being a Christian. That was so clear to us.
So, what was the reaction of the fellow clergy, the other nuns, the priests? What would they see?
Well, of course, there were those who say, ano bang mga klaseng mga madre yan? Laging sa street, di ba? In fact, merong police, hindi lang sa clergy, police na layman. I was on top of the 10-wheeler truck telling the people, don't pay the oil price hike because it will put up all the prices of the commodities. Pagbaba kong ganyan, sabi sa akin, di ba madre ka? Kita mo naman, sabi ko. bakit ang pinag-uusapan mo, oil price hike at ganyan-ganyan, mga wages? Hindi ba dapat kaluluwa? Dapat yung heaven and hell, ganyan. Dapat, hindi ba yung kaluluwa ang dapat? Sabi ko, bakit? Meron ka bang nakikitang naglalalakad na kaluluwa? Ang nakikita ko tao with body and soul. So kung ano man ang nakakasagabal sa kanya bilang tao, whether it's body or soul, dapat yun ang ating pakikialaman. That's what I said.
You'd also become instrumental in the founding of Gabriela, the militant women's organization. In fact, a chairperson for 18 years.
Yes.
Why did you feel that women here needed a movement?
Yeah, because, it all happened this way. I was invited to go to Venice to give a talk about a political prisoner, a woman. So, I interviewed her, punta ko doon, I gave the talk, and it was very political. But there I heard a lot of activists also talking about rape, talking about incest, talking about battering of women. And then it dawned on me, is it worse for a military man to rape a political detainee than for a father to rape his own child? And there are so many advocacies against the oppression of political oppression. Pero sino ang nagre-report? Sino ang nag-advocate para sa mga incest victims? At that time, no one. So I said, hindi pwede ito, no? And even in the movement at that time, lahat ng may ulo at may puso, nasa movement. Nasa revolutionary movement, if you want to call it. We were all in the liberation movement. But I even saw, even in the liberation movement, there was machismo. I mean, women were not treated in an equal way. Even though they had political jobs, they still had to take care of everything also sa bahay. In fact, I saw one political activist na babae, nakalagay sa kanyang, bulletin board. I wanted to change the world, but I couldn't get a babysitter. Sabi niya gano'n. So nakikita mo doon, even that in a very progressive
women are still
movement
seen as,
that is supposed to liberate the whole country, you can see that you cannot have a comprehensive liberation of a society kung kalahati ng inhabitants of that country are still being oppressed by the other half. Diba? Anong klaseng liberation yon? So sabi ko, it became very clear to us that to have a real comprehensive, holistic liberation or reform of a country, you have to tackle gender oppression, gender issues, no? Otherwise, it's not really a holistic kind of liberation. So that is when we started the women's movement.
You've said that, in fact, about religion, it has been used to perpetuate this.
Oh, yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Yeah, you see, in all religions, and I'm not only talking about Christianity, I studied Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam. All religions have what you call liberating and oppressive aspects. The liberating inspire us to do justice and all that, to have the virtues. But there are oppressive aspects in it too, because there are human elements in it. And for example, if you give all the power to men, like in the hierarchy, in the clergy, then they're going to interpret, for example, the scripture in a very male way. You know? And so what happens is that they can actually use religion to oppress women. Give you an example. Now, we have a women's crisis center where, we have a Lila house, a shelter for women who are beaten up. Sabi nitong babae sa akin, alam mo po ninyo, sabi sa akin ng asawa ko, oy babae, huwag kang sasagot sa akin kasi kinuha ka lang dito sa akin. Now, that is a biblical thing, yung taken from the rib of Adam. Yes. Where did he learn that? He's just an ordinary, laborer or something. So, na-internalize na yung, si Masa word it in a sermon or something, na women are taken from the rib of Adam. Oh, so, ano ibig sabihin nun? That means men are the real people and ang mga women are the derivation. Ay, di ba, kinuha ka naman sa malapit sa puso, hindi ka kinuha. Yung mga ganong euphemism, sabi ko, I don't care where I'm taken, I'm still derived. Di ba? So, parang...
So, how do you address that? I mean, that's in the Bible, that is supposed to be the word, but how do you...
But that is not really, because in the Bible, there are two creation stories. And that is what you call the Yahwist and the priestly. Actually, in the Yahwist, it says, God made humanity to God's image. Man and woman, God created them. That's perfect. No? Now, there are other, kasi itong creation stories, they are taken naman, hindi naman yan coming from the straight from the mouth of God. That is taken from stories that are already there, prevailing in the Middle Eastern countries. And depende kung meron silang sinasabing morality, good moral lesson, but there are certain cultural aspect in there na pumapasok, pero hindi naman yung main message. Pero, it is mirroring the patriarchal form of society. Di ba? Kaya tapos yun ang nagiging parang main message. Whereas it is not. It's just a cultural, how do you call that? So, ang nangyayari, yun na nga, imagine itong ordinary laborer uses theology to discipline his wife, Huwag kang sasagot-sagot sa akin, dito ka lang kinuha sa akin. Wow.
Your friend, Karl Rahner once wrote to you, he said, if I were Pope, I would ordain you priest.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that idea? What do you feel about that idea?
That is great. Of course, now we are not supposed